I carry a number of heritages, and I was born as a Pakistani. Obviously, my father was born in the British India, and I came from Karachi to England in 1966 as I would say, a 7-year-old. As I grew up in this country, I mean, there's several things that flashes back in terms of international affairs and things like that. As a child growing up in this country, you get, now I use the word Eurocentric British kind of history, which devoids many things that's happened elsewhere within the colonial empire building and other historical perspectives. It's that kind of relational trauma that people have gone through. Often you see, I would say, not inherent hatredism, but there is that tension between Pakistanis and Bengalis and so on and so forth. And that kind of thing, I think, shouldn't be there. And I think is a result of the partition, that human relational trauma or fracture and amount of, a degree of, is still there. So going back to the demos, as a child, I've seen people burning the Pakistani flag. It is, at the time, of course, you've done it for hate, but on reflection, we've caused it. People have caused it. People in power has caused it. And that's something which I think, where is the redress? I don't think between Bangladesh and Pakistan there is they've made any redress or a proper apology for what they've done. The other thing I feel sometimes pretty much hurt and also angry about is just the way, why did it happen? We used to know, I read books where, I mean, people talked about the Pakistani army, one of the strongest army, in my school books, and they surrendered. So it's a humiliation for Pakistan in terms of that surrender. I asked the question, why did it happen in the first place? Why couldn't people, just like the Northern Ireland Agreement, why couldn't we go through some form of compromise to say, let's share the power, let's have rather than breaking the country up. I think one significant thing that in terms of lacks, I see it, is that the contribution of the Bengali diaspora, East Bengal at the time. Well, in Dhaka, the birth of Muslim League took place in Dhaka, which is East Pakistan, East Bengal. And also the significant thing about this, that Maulana Fazlul Haq wrote the first draft of the Pakistan resolution, Lahore resolution. And that is, I think, a significant contribution of the Bengali diaspora. And I think for whatever reason, I think it doesn't get the limelight in the contemporary narrative of my Pakistani friends. And I would urge them to actually use the moment, when they can. And that also brings cohesion. That also brings relational, good relations in terms of what happened in the past, and a bit of catharsis in the process to bring people together. I mean, history judges itself, and we can all give armchair narratives and analysis. As a person who's actually gone through the second partition, I was 13, and I saw the bitterness between the two sets of people. But obviously it wasn't the people who'd done it, it was the politicians and political masters in Pakistan who's done it. Sheikh Mujib won landslide election in 1970s election, general election, both in West Pakistan and East Pakistan, with his mandate, with his manifesto of devolved power. Federal government remains the same. It was the expenditure and the income that was spent in East Pakistan, and that was the concept. And obviously the administration didn't enjoy the democratic right of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and hence all the havoc and trauma, and in terms of you call it civil war, and people often don't talk about it these days because it's a hidden shame in our history.